Open Public Meetings Act. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by advertisement in the Cape May Star and Wave, the Herald, and posted on the bulletin board of Township Hall.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance in a moment of silence. Jared, would you step forward? I'll put you on the spot. Maybe you could lead us with the pledge. Thank you. Come on forward up here, Jared. We'll get you on TV. Face the flag. Ready?
Please, Mr. Flag, of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Conrad. Here. Councilmember Neville.
Here.
Councilmember Douglas.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Clark. Here. Mayor Beck. Here.
We have all sorts of good things that are going to happen before we go to our work session. It's a busy night here. We begin with the swearing in of three new police officers, myself and Manager Ball. At the invitation of the chief, we went up to their graduation last week, and it's always a great day. It's an exciting day for the family. It's a long process now. I think it took me about 10 weeks when I became a police officer, from when I filled out the application to where I was in the academy. But I think they kind of like snatched you off the street back then. We have three new officers: John T. Armbruster, Stephen E. Flitcroft, and James P. McNulty. And we're going to swear them in one at a time with the help of counsel. And I have the oath down there, and the manager will let us know which of the family members are going to assist us in this. It's always a little bit of a juggling act, but we're darn proud of them. We're happy they're with us. These are, when I see these names, I have to kind of almost smile, because it's I know they're dads, and it's nice to watch and to see our local youth do so well, go through the academy, and it's an honor to have these three fine young officers with us. And the chief can probably tell you, but council made a decision to increase by one in the upcoming year the number of police officers, and we had a young lady who started the academy, I think, today. Yes. So it's all good, So with that in mind, I would like to have John T. Armbruster step forward, and I'll come down with counsel. If you would join me, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, counsel, John will be sworn in, and holding the Bible will be Kathy, his mom. Chief and Lieutenant Beebe, if you want to step forward to witness the officers, please do at this time.
You on TV, so make copies of everybody. There's the Bible, the left hand. Maybe if we face you around a little bit, whatever, come like that. There you go. How's that work, all right? Now you're going to repeat after me.
Yes, sir.
I, John T. Armbruster, Jr.,
I, John T. Armbruster, Jr.,
swear that I will support
swear that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey.
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the same
to the same
and to the governments established
and to the governments established
in the United States
in the United States
and in this state,
and in this state,
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully,
and I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties of the office
all the duties of the office
of police officer
of police officer
in the Township of Lower,
in the Township of Lower,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
this time, we'd like to ask Steve Flitcroft to come up, and his dad will hold the Bible, his dad named Albert.
You know Steve very well. He was an employee of ours in a different department. Now he's with the police. Okay. Dad, Bible. You better come around this way, Dad. Slide in. Okay. Hand on the Bible. Left hand, let me see what he did. Left hand on the Bible, right hand in the air. Okay. Here we go. I, Stephen E. Flitcroft,
I, Stephen E. Flitcroft,
swear that I will support
swear that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the same
to the same
and to the governments established
and to the governments established
in the United States
in the United States
and in this state,
and in this state,
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties of the office
all the duties of the office
of police officer
of police officer
in the Township of Lower,
in the Township of Lower,
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
At this time, I'd like to ask Officer John McNulty to step forward. The Bible will be held by his dad, John.
I don't want Steve locking me up, he's a pretty big guy.
He'll still be chasing some animals.
In the air. To Dad, and is this sister? Put her over here so she can get on camera. We gotta have camera time. I, James P. McNulty,
I, James P. McNulty,
swear that I will support the Constitution
swear that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the same
to the same
and to the governments established in the United States
and to the governments established in the United States
and in this state,
and in this state,
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties of the office
all the duties of the office
of police officer
of police officer
in the Township of Lower,
in the Township of Lower,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability,
So help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
At this time, we'll hear remarks from Chief Brian Marker. Chief?
Thank you, Manager. Good evening, Mayor and Council. First, I'd like to thank you for allowing us to continue to replace officers that have retired. Over the past 18 months or so, we've had approximately 8 officers retired from the department. That's not strange, but across New Jersey, a lot of police officers have retired. However, we're doing everything we can to fill the void that it actually represented. And the process of actually getting these 3 officers didn't start just yesterday, but well over a year ago. You know, they took a civil service test. They came out very well on the civil service test. And then we went through the selection process. And it is a big deal as far as the background check that we do and everything that has to happen before they actually get into the police academy. Well, they went through all the testing procedures and they came out very well. And we believe we really picked the cream of the crop, per se, as far as the best officers that we could have at this time. And we're really proud of them. Just as the mayor had said, you know, it's not an easy process. 22 weeks within the police academy. In Cape May County, we have the best police academy in the state, where the officers actually live up there. That's where they were Monday through Friday. For some of you gentlemen that were in the military, you understand what that is all about. And it really makes a better product as far as the officers that come out. Well, we received our officers last week from the police academy, and now we will, for the next 4 months, involve these officers in a field training program where they'll now become Lower Township police officers, something that's special. I've had many talks with these officers. They know how I feel about our department and where I see us going in the future. We have a lot of things we must do. It is a very, not just a hard job, but a complex job. As far as now, officers are doing more scientifically, more in many different ways, and they're ready for the challenge, so we're very proud of them. Today, just today, this morning, I believe at 7 o'clock this morning, I spoke to the officers just a few minutes ago, and I asked them to remember back the very first day at the police academy. Today at 7 o'clock, Caitlin Black, our newest officer, reported to the police academy, and she has done well today. Everything from the push-ups and the running and everything else that very first day. So keep her in your prayers, and we're very excited to have her with us, and we'll be talking back in another few months as far as her graduation as well. So for tonight, we thank our officers, we wish them well. We ask you to keep us and the officers in your prayers. Thank you very much.
And Chief, I know I speak for all of council, and I thank you for the job you're doing, and all of your police officers and the brass and everybody that's over there. We're very proud of all that you do.
Very good.
And
Thank
thank
you,
you. And we move down now to, I know Jared's here. We have an Eagle Scout proclamation. Jared, would you step forward, please? And I had the honor of being over at the police station for Jared's project, which he completed. How long ago was that, Jared?
5 months.
5 months ago? And who's here with you? Your pop?
And my mom.
And your mom is here too? Okay, so what we're going to do is, can you explain a little bit about your project? Could you take a minute, or is that okay?
Yeah.
All right, feel free to come on up and take the microphone. And you worked on the exterior of the police station, correct?
Yeah.
Go ahead, can you?
I re-landscaped the David C. Douglas Senior Memorial over at the Lower Township Police Department. I ripped out all the dead bushes and trees and replanted and put a bench in and a couple plaques and just cleaned up the place. It looked dirty and not how it should for Mr. Douglas, so I just re-landscaped it for him.
Thank you. And you know, I think a lot of us were scouts, and I know Tom is, okay, they're both involved with the scouts, and I was a few years back, like maybe about 50. And you know, to attain the Eagle Scout is unique, and it's something that we're honored to have you, you know, here tonight to explain your project, and we have a real nice presentation for you. So you stand there, get your folks to come on up, and we'll give this to you. And council, you want to come down for this one? I'll read this out. Come on over here, Jared. Sorry. Hi, folks. Come on and face this way so we can use some TV time. That's important, so you can take this and show all the kids in school. You know, this is one of these awards that stays with you forever, and it's really an accomplishment. And we're glad that you were able to come here tonight. And this is what this has on here. It's a certificate of recognition presented to Jared Osborne. Whereas Jared chose as his Eagle Scout project to refurbish the David C. Douglas Senior Memorial at the Lower Township Police Station. Whereas this project included removing trash, dead plants and bushes, tree trimming, painting the walls around the memorial, installing solar lighting, and planting new flowers and bushes. And whereas the project was completed in June, a memorial rededication took place in August of 2012. Now therefore it is with great pride that I, Mayor Michael Beck, and the Lower Township Council do hereby recognize and congratulate Jared on his accomplishments and wish him continued success in all his future endeavors. Jared, I hope maybe about 20 years from now, you're up here giving out plaques. We need people like Jared and folks, you sharing this. I mean, there's no way he's here without you standing here. And there's no doubt about it. And also the scout, the people that are, the men and women that are involved in scouting, that help to take these kids and to mold them. We appreciate that. I mean, if you don't know the difference between a kid in scouting and a kid that's not, I'll drive you around sometime. But I mean, you know, this is fantastic that he's accomplished this, and we are very proud. So enjoy the award you deserve. Well, I learn something every day. Councilman Neville's an Eagle Scout. There you go. Now you're part of the brother. Right? Thank you. Thank you. This next one is going to be rather unique. This is not something that we get every day here. And I'm going to ask that Wayne Weissman, one of our regulars here at council, introduce Mr. Frank Rego, who is just recently celebrated his birthday, 105. You know, I don't know what to say. Go ahead, introduce some of the family, and then we can see what we have here. Go ahead.
Yes, Mr. Frank Rego is originally from Philadelphia.
Now, can you hear Wayne in the back?
Can you hear me back there?
Yeah. Now you can. Go ahead.
Okay. He was born in Philadelphia January 3rd, 1908. Born in this house. He's been living in Lower Township for over 30 years now. He has two daughters. One is, I'd like to introduce you to him, is Irene, lives in Lower Township, and Doris also lives in Lower Township. I have a couple things written down, if you don't mind. I don't have a memory like Mr. Rager does.
You're too young.
He also has 2 grandchildren, 5 great-grandchildren, and 2 great-great-grandchildren. And I don't know if you want me to tell you a couple things about him.
Yeah, we're going to ask him if maybe we can put a chair up there and let him, maybe you could hold the microphone if we have 2 chairs.
Sure. Do you want to
And maybe
stand?
we can get him on camera. We have a presentation for him, and maybe we could ask him some questions. I'm dying to ask him questions, to be honest with you. I want to know.
What do you eat?
He's going to stand. Okay.
Say to him, what do you eat?
Okay. He's going to ask you a couple-
1908. Mr. Rago, tell me some of the things that you remember about this world, this country, your town. What part of Philadelphia were you born in?
Cheltenham.
Cheltenham.
In South Philadelphia.
What is it?
South Philadelphia.
South Philadelphia, okay. And let me ask you, do you remember, the 1908, do you remember World War I?
Yes, I do.
Holy Christmas tree, that's yeah, I mean, do you remember the armistice and everything?
Yes.
Well, you know, I mean, they still probably had like a lot of horses on the street.
They did, right.
They did, right?
No.
Okay, so tell me, what was it like back then? Was it, you know, was it kind of like, you know?
Well, I see the Army going through, riding through Broad Street, going to the Army,
Okay,
the boarding exercises.
all right.
And I saw them leaving there to go to war.
And how old would you, well, if it was 1908, you would have been probably, what, about 8 or 10 years old, something like that? 1914 was the beginning of World War I, right?
Yeah.
1917 was the end.
That's the World War I.
So you remember all that,
Oh,
right?
yeah, I remember it, yeah.
Okay.
I was only a child.
And you weren't involved with that Roaring 20s stuff or anything like that?
No, I wasn't, no.
Okay, that's it. Frank, I know that wasn't you.
Oh, he was a good dancer.
He was a good dancer. Okay, now the truth is coming out, Frank.
I used to tap dance at the
Oh,
casino.
yeah.
You tap dance where?
At the casino.
What casino?
The Valley.
Valley.
It
Yeah.
opened up, yeah.
Yeah,
And I used to dance at the Latin Casino.
yeah.
Latin Casino, there's a name. There at Cherry Hill, right?
The club, I can't think of the name of the club, Ray's place.
Okay.
I danced there. I used to be a tap dancer.
So you remember the 20s. Now lead me into the Depression. Do you remember that? Of course.
Yeah, oh yeah, I remember that.
My dad used to tell me about that.
Yeah, I know, you're from Philadelphia.
Yes, I am.
You
I don't tap dance though, Frank, except up here every now and then.
Yeah, I know.
Maybe you could teach him a few steps.
Manager. But you remember the Depression, right? Now, and the rough times. Now, I heard that you actually had to sell some of your things. Is that true, as far as to help out with the family and everything? Some of the tools or something? Wayne, I think you wrote some of that. Would you
He had to sell his tools in order to feed his family.
Yeah.
feed the family? And what was your occupation, Frank?
Well, I learned to be a shoe designer.
Shoe design.
Yeah, and I made shoes for all these Hollywood actresses.
Really? Which actresses?
Yeah. Oh, Billy Gable, Betty Gable,
Betty Grable,
Yeah.
Carl Miranda,
Norma Miranda.
Loretta Young.
Loretta Young.
Some people are shaking their heads. I see you out there. Other people are like, who?
So I made business
Yeah,
shoes for them.
yeah.
Yeah.
They won't know them.
Norma Miranda, all those. Well, I see them on the Late Show. I'm not that old.
How to beat.
Hey. Okay, so we lead up now to where you stayed in Philadelphia. How long did you live in Philadelphia?
I was in Philadelphia about 60 years.
And what section did you stay in? South Philly or
South Philadelphia.
South Philadelphia.
North Philadelphia.
we're at North Philadelphia?
Cheltenham.
Well, that's out Cheltenham Avenue or Cheltenham
Cheltenham
Township?
Township.
Cheltenham Township, okay. That's not far from where I lived up there for a while. Okay, so World War II comes, right? Did you go in the military at all? Were you in the service?
No, I couldn't get in because I had a hernia
A hernia,
when I was
okay.
younger. They didn't
All right.
take me.
Wouldn't
But I was
take-
ready to go on an operation for it. But it never matured.
The war ended.
The war
They
ended,
brought in,
Yeah.
right,
and it ended.
okay. So you stayed in Philadelphia for 60 years, and
Yeah,
did you retire from the shoe
I
industry?
retired from shoe, and I used to be a barber by trade.
A what?
A barber?
Okay,
I was a barber by trade.
okay, that's even better.
I was
Okay.
in shoe designing. I went to the shoe factory, and the fellow taught me how to design.
All right. Okay, so you moved down here,
Yeah, I moved
and
down
have you been in Lower Township, what, for
33 years.
33 years? Well, you're a great addition here.
Yeah.
We'll get to that. I got a couple more questions for you, Frank. You're not getting out of here without answers. What's the greatest invention you've seen during your lifetime?
What is it?
The greatest invention that you've seen? Television? I mean, when you were born, it was only a couple of years after the Wright brothers had flown. I think it was 1903
Yeah.
for Kitty Hawk. So, I mean, you probably, my dad tells me the story like when a plane would fly over, the kids would come out of school and stand, they would let them out just to look up because they had never seen one.
Right.
And then in 1969, they stand on the moon. That's incredible. But what invention do you appreciate the most? The television, probably, right?
Television, I guess, yes, the only thing that I know about.
Telephone,
Yeah, telephone, yeah, of course. Yeah.
Did your house have electricity when you were born? Yeah, but probably. I think I was around.
It just started, I think.
Just started
We
coming.
had gas.
Okay.
And we had to get.
We just got gas down here.
Yeah,
It only took us 100 years.
the water.
The water, yeah.
So, well, okay, last one, the deputy mayor has to know, because he wants to live a long time. So what's your secret to a long life?
Well, what I do is, my father was from Italy. When he came here, he was 12 years of age.
Mm-hmm.
And he used to give us a morning salad every morning with olive oil, vinegar, onions, all that stuff, on top of it, with a little wine. A little wine.
Okay, I got that part down.
We should make that.
He says it's the Mediterranean diet. That's what my deputy does.
I think that helped.
I'm not going to make it, Frank. I'm not going to happen. You're a township treasurer. We appreciate you taking the time to come out here. I have a little certificate for you, but you have a nice family. I had a chance to speak with a couple of them beforehand.
Yeah.
And, I appreciate Wayne and B helping you out and bringing you down here so we could get to meet you. But we hope that you're back here in the years to come to help us celebrate, for us to help you celebrate your birthdays.
Thank you.
So stay there because I definitely want to get in a picture with you on this one. All right, guys, coming down and we'll read them up.
I might add, in that year, 1908, Henry Ford introduced the Model T car for $825.
I'll take
It was 3 cents a gallon for gas.
Okay, can you get him? Come on over here so we can just keep an arm. Facing that way. Lady with the camera. Oh, I can bring your family.
Probably, yeah.
Surely.
Two daughters.
Hello. Here, come on over here. I'll get out of the way. I'm just here to read it. Somebody put fire here. Okay, this is a certificate of recognition for Frank Rago on his 105th birthday. Whereas Frank was born at home in Philadelphia on January 3rd, 1908, and grew up with his 10 brothers and sisters. 10?
5 brothers, 5 sisters.
5 brothers, 5 sisters. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it was good.
A lot of fun having a big family like that. Whereas Frank ran a barber shop in Philadelphia and was also a shoe designer for the Keystone Slipper Company, designing shoes for people such as Carmen Miranda and Loretta Young. And whereas Frank has survived 17 United States presidents, the Great Depression, during which time he had to sell his tools to provide food for his family, and whereas Frank later moved to Lower Township and has resided here for over 30 years, along with his family of 2 beautiful daughters, Irene and Doris, 2 grandchildren, 5 great-grandchildren, and 2 great-great-grandchildren. Got a lot of greats in there. Now, therefore, it is with great pleasure that I, Mayor Michael Beck, and the Lower Township Council congratulate Frank on his 105th birthday and wish him many more. Thank you for sharing. Council, any comments, questions besides congratulations? Thank you, Wayne, for bringing it in. Thank you, Wayne. That was fun. Mine's
Was good. Helping himself. Him and Doris and his wife used to come to our AARP meetings 15 years ago. Yeah. They're doing pretty, I can't believe
All right. We have just a 1 second delay here until we make sure these fine people leave safely.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Good night. Thank you for sharing. Right, we're moving down to the work session now, and we have a FEMA discussion. And Mayor Beck, that's me. We have tried to get FEMA here. And, you know, it's a little bit more complicated than just having, and I'm beginning to become like a collector of business cards, like kids collect baseball cards or something. We're kind of still on a holding pattern with that, and I really don't want to speak for them. But at the same time, it's important to us, and we're working on getting somebody down here probably over the next couple meetings, and that's the best I can say. It's not that they're not responsive. The issue really is that they're still learning things, and that they're reluctant to come down and do a public meeting until the information that they bring down here is absolutely correct. So I respect that. So until we are sure that they are coming down here with things that we can rely on, because what you're talking about is we understand the economic impact that the FEMA map can have, not only on individual houses and homes and people, but also on the township as a whole. And we're watching it carefully. You know, we were very fortunate. We didn't really have a lot of structural damage throughout the town. We did lose some beach. We've been working with the people from and DEP in order to at least get some kind of communication going between the people who are on the beachfront there. But as far as the discussion of the elevation map at this point in time, I think we're going to defer until, and I'm not going to speak for FEMA, I just will not do that. We went to the meeting up in Ocean City 2 weeks ago, and I think Jimmy and went to the Wildwood Crest. It was a deal where if you look at the FEMA map, they come up the coast and they stop the map about 2.3 miles above the ferry. Correct, Mike?
Yes, sir.
And at that point in time, there was no specific guidelines for us. There's nothing that we're not within a zone now. And it's, you know, we've heard a little bit of conflicting information as to whether they will eventually push that zone all the way up, a separate zone that would incorporate both sides of the bay, or they won't. Either way, it's a long distance type of situation, and we're just going to have to wait until we are sure that what we're getting from FEMA is the correct. I don't know if council has any questions. You know, I've had, I don't know, 3-4 meetings Mike and I have been to, and some of council have been to some of them, and it's just we're in uncharted waters. Okay, so I'm going to move down past that. I'm going to turn it over to Deputy Mayor Clark, and he is going to talk about his request to establish a special economic advisory committee. Go ahead.
Yes, Mayor, we have said that we want to do what we can in 2 areas. One, what can we do to promote tourism? We're a tourism-based economy. There are over 400 businesses in Lower Township, most of whom rely on tourism in some way, shape, or form. And we also want to look at ways in which we can attract jobs into our township. So we're proposing it's basically an ad hoc committee that would sunset in 2014 December. And it would be something that Councilman Douglas and I would chair. We would ask each member of council to put forward 2 names for a total of 10 members of the committee. And we would meet on a regular basis, and we would be looking for business leaders, members of the Chamber of Commerce, people that can give us ideas on how we could attract jobs or promote tourism in Lower Township in ways that would not cost the township money in a large degree. So we're looking for creative ideas, and we would be drawing those from members of the committee and then coming back to town council to report on the ideas that we've come up with.
Okay, fine. I think council, is everybody okay with this? I'm perfectly fine with it also. I think that it's something that we've been waiting a long time. I wish you luck, whatever we can do here, but, just, do what you can. All right, now I'm going to bring up somebody, Walt Fiore. He's the code enforcement officer. One of the things that we said that when we came in here last month was that our intention to expand the work sessions to take a specific area of government and maybe, even though there's no pressing situations involved, but to kind of pull it apart a little bit and explain some things to people that maybe they didn't know, and at the same time see if there's a need to adjust a few things and ask the people responsible for the operations of the township what we can do to help them in their job. So Walt, you're the first one up, and I would ask you to just take your time and explain a little bit about your job. Can you do that for a little bit? Go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Walt Fiore. I am the Code Enforcement Officer in Lower Township. It's my responsibility to enforce the local codes and ordinances in the township. Anywhere from high grass and weeds, inoperable vehicles on property, people that put trash out too early. That's the kind of things I handle in my office. I also handle zoning violations. If there's illegal duplexes in the township, businesses that are running that shouldn't be running, I handle that kind of things along with mercantile license enforcement for businesses and things of that nature. If you have any questions, I can answer any questions you have.
Well, we'll get to that. I have some things, comments that we would like to the basic thing is, how can we help you and how can you help us? And there's an overall philosophy that it's not a question of how many tickets you can write, but how much compliance we can get. And that's basically what our goal is.
Correct.
However, I think that there's a misperception with the public about the administrative. Tell me what used to happen, and maybe people will understand. When you saw a violation, if I called you, say, today and said to you that my neighbor's grass is too high, let's go back a year ago, what would have happened?
Okay. When I received the complaint, I would go out and do an inspection on the property. Once I did that inspection, I would determine whether there was a violation or not. If there was a violation, I would have to go back to the office, research the property, and then send a certified letter notifying them of the violation. I would give them 10 days to comply, but I'd have to send all the violation notices certified and be at the mercy of the post office to deliver the notices. So after 10 days goes by, sometimes the post office would be a little slower than normal, so it may take up to 30 days before I would get a notice back where I could go out and do a re-inspection. After I do my re-inspection, if there was still a violation, I would issue summonses at that point.
Did you have to go to the court to get permission to write these summonses?
Yes, I would have to go through the court and do a probable cause hearing.
What's the point is, and you can imagine if you're sitting there and you've reported high grass, it's 30 days later and nothing's been done.
Correct.
Okay, now what do we do now?
Now that the process has changed a little bit, with the help of Manager Vole and Council, we no longer issue the notice of violation. We just go out, do the inspection, try to make a verbal contact with the residents and notify them their grass is too high. I'll give them a couple days to comply. If they don't comply at that point, we'll issue a summons and bring them into court.
Okay, so how many, tell me, and again, the purpose of code enforcement, at least for me, is not to hammer people with tickets. It's to make our town clean, presentable, and to enforce the codes that we have. So how many tickets, tell me some differences, like we talked about this already.
Right. Last year, in 2012, I issued 35 summonses. Already in January, I issued 15. So it's a drastic step up of not having to send a notice.
This is an off-season now.
Correct.
I mean, we're not into the grass and all that.
Correct.
One of the things, and we've done work up here, people have to understand that. There's a lot of misperceptions about what goes on. How many calls do you handle? I should have asked you that. Do you have any idea how many calls you handle in a year?
Not off the top of my head, but probably around 1,500,
1,500, and you're by yourself.
correct.
Okay, so now you also go to court on some of these,
Yeah,
and it's a pretty good-sized town. What we're trying to say is that this is not an easy task. So we go now to some of the things besides that we've helped you with. And one of them was, and we did this a couple of years ago, because when we placed a lien before, there was a $25 charge.
administrative charge, correct.
Okay, what's that been changed to?
$500.
All right, because we were people's lawn cutting service. I mean, somebody wouldn't cut their grass, and then by June, Walt would get a call. He would have it cut after the procedure, which would take a month. He'd have it cut, and let's say they charged $200 to cut the grass, and we would tack on $25. And this might happen twice a year, and people that don't live here but didn't care about their properties, at the end of that, at the end of the summer, it was cheaper than hiring a lawn service. So we changed the administrative fee to $500. Now that got their attention,
Correct.
okay? And that's the kind of, how we can help you and how you can help us. We all share the common goal up here of a clean, presentable town with people complying. Some of the things that we kicked around and talking about when we talk about changes is that you now have the ability to write a ticket on site. You also have the ability to mail in people. There is an ordinance that we're passing now that will generate the right for people who receive a citation not to have to go to court, but to pay it. Correct?
Correct. They just have to mail the fine into the court.
Yeah, for certain fines.
For certain
We've
fines.
increased certain fines.
Minor violations, we're going to do that for. Major violations, I'm still going to have people appear in court. But for minor code infractions, they can just mail in a fine. But repeat offenders, I'm going to bring into court, make them sit in court for a day, and hopefully get a larger fine than the minor fines we would get for a minor violation.
And something like that, I mean, I don't know how council feels, but I'd like to see, especially the repeat offenders, put the information in the newspaper. I mean, publish that such and such was fined $500 for trash, yada, yada, because we don't have that now. I don't know if the newspapers have anything, objections to carrying that, but we're trying to send a message out there, which is that we have code enforcement. He does a heck of a job. He has a lot to do. We're streamlining what's going on to make him as effective as possible. All right. If council has any other suggestions or any comments,
I have a comment.
Go ahead.
A big misconception about Mr. Furier's job is the fact that there is just one of them for all the township. It's not just the villas, it's not North Cave, it's not Irma, it's not Cold Spring, it's the entire township. You've heard 35-hour work week, 1 day in court. Would you say about half your other times just on paperwork?
In the past it was. In the past it was bad. Now it's much easier.
How much time does he really have to be on the street? He's following up. He's a very busy man, and he's trying. And we're trying to streamline things. And that's what I have a lot of respect for the man because he's one man, paper pusher, wallpaper, however you want to put it. But originally there was another person in that office. Unfortunately, because of budget constraints, he's it now.
Well, this is what I call the chase and the tail theory. And he'll tell you, people knew the limit of the law. They would wait till the end of the 30 days and then cut their grass. And you'd go to court and the judge would say, well, it's been taken care of. So you never ever got a conviction, but you never ever had a clean yard. Now it's like hammer them. And it's a select few that give a lot of the areas a bad name. And those people are the ones we're trying to catch up on. So, the chase and the tail, and as we streamline this, he'll have more time and be more effective. That's the whole point of what we're trying to say. Now, I have one more thing, and council's going to have to talk about this, and it's one of my pet peeves. And I remember last year, and Walt knows, I come down Bay Shore Road, and it's the yard sale signs. It's the signage. And somebody on a Friday night puts about a half dozen Day Glow big, huge poster boards up and down Bay Shore Road, and when our guests, our company come down on Friday night, the place looks like something out of, I don't know where, I don't even want to say that, but the point is, we have an ordinance against signage that to me, you contrast that with, say, for instance, the hospitality night where there are tasteful signs put out there by the Chamber of Commerce. So if I say to him, enforce the signs, or you say to him, enforce the signs, or we say, whatever you want, the point is you can't pick and choose. And I was talking with Walt and Mike and saying maybe we need like a common good exception to the sign ordinance. That would, if somebody came to town hall and said, well, look, the chamber's putting signs out for their hospitality night. The Love of Linda wants to put some tasteful signs out. But I mean, it was just incredible. I'm ripping signs down, and they put the signs up and they stay there. They stay there. And you can't have that for a lot of different reasons. One is it just gives an impression that we don't care about what we look like, and that's the main one, of course. But they don't take them down. They end up in the street. I mean, there was a pile of wood from somebody had an A-frame over at Fulling Mill and Bayshore with signs tacked to the side of it. That has to stop. So now the question is, do you want to create somewhere along the line, and maybe that's something we need to talk to the solicitor about, a common good exception to the sign ordinance, and then turn around and strictly enforce the sign. I mean, there's a tax guide had like signs from one end to the other that were all over the place. I buy old milk bottle signs are all over the place. You can find any kind of sign you want out there, and I just don't think it looks presentable.
Are we still looking at having animal control in their downtime on the weekends, enhancing code enforcement by doing that part-time, or?
Well,
'cause that's one of the issues is you got the weekend warriors doing the work, plus the signs, that's when they pop up.
It is.
And Walt's home. Not picking on him, you deserve your time off. But we need something to happen during the weekends.
Well, last summer, Councilman, we had an extra hand out there on Saturdays going around to give Walt a hand because he's only here Monday through Friday. But also last year, the planning director and the construction official all pitched in during the week to help when we have the heavy call for code enforcement, which is in the spring when Walt encounters a lot of high grass, so they would help them last year. So with the limited budget, we will put something in place this year. But as the mayor said, working with council, the mayor has streamlined the code enforcement office, and as Walt attests to tonight, his workload is a lot easier now and better now. It's more convenient, a way of doing what you do. So good job, Walt.
Thanks.
Yeah, well, council, you guys have questions at all?
No, I think Walt does a good job, and he's restricted on where he can be and what, and hopefully the parts that we're doing for you are making it easier for you to get out there and be in the public and be in, basically be in the areas where we're having the problems, and we appreciate your work.
Thank you.
Norris, you all right?
I'm good.
Okay, and I would like to, at some point craft something, and maybe the solicitor could, that talks about, my feeling is if somebody comes to the construction office and says, look, I want to put these signs up, and you give them like 2 days, and it's done tastefully, it's not nailed to a telephone pole or the electric pole up and down the street, but it's done, like the chamber signs are really nice. They're wire framed, they're almost like yard signs, all right? They're really not inhibitive, they don't intrude on anybody, they're really non-intrusive. But some of the stuff that gets put up there, and where we're going to have a war is everybody that has the yard sale, because they're going to put their signs up and we're going to yank them down. So they're going to come in here screaming, but what about the guy that doesn't put the signs up, but he goes to the shoppy and he rents a $5 thing that says, well, this is where my yard sale is. And that's the point I'm trying to say. If I had a business and everybody else is nailing stuff to the electric pole, why am I paying for advertising? I'll just go out and nail my stuff up there. And if we don't get control of it, eventually it'll get control of us. And that's why I'm saying that, to me, I don't want to see anything on the poles. The chamber went through the effort of collecting money to put those flags up and down Bayshore Road, which look nice. And we can't allow people to just put whatever they want up and down. So I would move that we take a look at something like that. Maybe the solicitor can put something together and we'll adjust that. Now, this is like the first time we've done this. Does anybody have questions for the code officer? Yes, and not specific locations, if it's just general questions, not about a house. Go ahead. Well, Bill, you can come up and let people know who you are and what your question is.
Hey, Bill Greenfield, if somebody in your neighborhood has a violation or something you want to notify you about, it used to be you had to give your name, couldn't do it anonymously. Is that still that way? Or?
Yeah, can you take reports anonymously?
We do take anonymous complaints, but I prefer you give me your name and your number. That way I can keep you informed of what's going on with the violation.
But you don't give the name?
But it's anonymous in my office. They will not get that information from me or anybody in my office that you made a complaint or anybody made a complaint.
But you prefer that the name?
I prefer the name and a phone number so I can contact you and keep you up to date on what's going on with the property.
Okay. Are there any other questions? Yes.
When you do notification of a code violation, do you, we have so many rented properties here, are you giving it to the person that's renting, or are you going by the person who owns the property in the tax office for notification?
If I knew it was a rental property, I give it to the tenant and I give it to the owner. So the owner knows he has a violation at his house because he could lose his mercantile license. If there's 2 property maintenance code violations, convictions in court on his rental property, he runs the risk of losing his mercantile license. So we notify him both, the tenant and the landlord.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate your comment here. See, it didn't hurt, right?
No, it's all right.
All right. We didn't yell or anything like that. We're good now. Thank you, Walt. We appreciate what you did. Okay, we move down to the scrappers ordinance. Discussion. Did everybody get a chance to look it over? I think there's a couple, the solicitor's going to read in a couple additions before we introduce it.
Okay. There was, prior to posting this on the agenda.
Can you speak into the microphone, please? Thank you.
Prior to posting this, can you hear me?
Yes.
Prior to posting this on the agenda, we distributed to most of the departments that might be involved in this thing to get some feedback as to whether they'd like some additions, changes, and whatnot. We updated a number of times in the process of coming up with the final form of ordinance, but there were some latent suggestions that I thought should be added. In the case of the ordinance number 2013-4, we've done an addition to section C, which is 570, which would be code section 570-16C, which will read any permits issued pursuant to code section 570-15, which is the general ordinance covering scrapping, that these permits are revocable for any violations or other cause at the sole discretion of the municipal clerk. The only other addition was that the license period was to run from January 1 through December 31st in the permit year.
Okay. Council comments, huh? All right with it?
It's an unfortunate evil that we have to keep finding all these little loopholes, but at this point, where we're trying to find money to keep the budget down, the metal is too important for a recycling rebate to not look at this. We don't need to know the amounts, we don't need to know how much money the person makes or anything like that, but for the rest of the taxpayers, that metal is highly important.
Jimmy, you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
Glenn? Norris? You know, again, this came up, and we saw this coming before the last meeting, and you know, the council's not without compassion. We understand the economic times and the need for, I mean, all of us would do what we have to do as far as that goes to, you know, help our families. And if somebody's going to go out there and collect the scrap, they've been doing it. We've never really enforced it. This makes it okay. It's really not going to hurt the township in any way, shape, or form. And I think it's probably the right thing to do as far as that goes, so we'll move forward with that. Okay. Move down to the consent agenda. Does council have any comments or questions on the consent agenda?
Yeah, I'll be abstaining from approval of minutes and also Resolution 2013-62.
Okay. Any other comments or questions in reference to the consent agenda?
Yeah, I guess this one, 2013-54, that's one that we have to pass, close the planning board.
They put a couple of bills here. That's the water quality management plan. And there was a couple requests put into the resolution. We had talked about that real quick.
Yeah, basically there are a few areas at the MUA, the actual MUA property itself, which has received, all the wetlands have been delineated, and we felt that that whole area should be put in. There's also a piece adjacent to the township bowl right here that's upland, might possibly be used. And we wanted that in so that in the future, we could eliminate going for extra permits with the state, which take a lot of time and costs a lot of money. There was also an area on Breakwater Road, which was a transmission area. It wasn't an area that we necessarily see a lot of development happening there, but this could also trigger an extra environmental permit if we wanted to move over to Irma Park to sewer that someday. So there were a few areas, there were some other isolated areas with the same type of scenario. We felt arbitrarily removed them. So they're listed, it should be number 3 in the on your resolution.
That's good, Billy, thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you. Any other council comments or questions? All right, move to the public comment on the consent agenda. Yes, sir. Somebody in the back. Tom? Yes, sir. Your name?
Tom Pizzoli from the Villas, and also in the MUA for Lower Township.
Right.
We've got two things. Question number 1. I'm looking at how much is being appropriated with the resolutions 2013-65 through 2013-69 for work on the Millman Center.
Right.
We're talking over $360,000. Where does that money come from?
Well, last year the council appropriated $200,000 for some of the Millman renovation. All this, the CFO certified all the money is in place. There's a couple different areas, one for fire suppression, which is a piece of it. Another is for the flooring. But anyway, all the money is there and available. We're going to get this Millman Center renovated. The first brush at this, it came in like $500,000 if we went with a general contractor. So I instructed not the CFO, but the purchasing agent, Margaret, to do it in pieces, which brought us into the budget and brought us into prices that we can afford, so we get this project started. So we have all the money that's been appropriated for this project.
Another thing, and I really respect your thoughts on this, you want to try to keep the business local as much as we can. There's only one contractor local in this whole country.
We've been down that road.
Yeah, the council wants
You know where I'm
local.
coming from,
I absolutely
right?
do. Let me make sure. We had a long discussion about that this morning.
Okay.
And there's more there than I understood. And there's, and it's a shame and we're going to schedule Margaret to come here at a meeting. I just had this discussion 20 minutes before we came out here. She was still here working late. Go ahead.
Well, she would tell you that she's made a good effort to reach out to our local business people. And some of them just don't want to, for various reasons, we may not fully understand, do not want to take the business, but there's
State license.
State license, which is several $100s, there's bonding, prevailing.
See, I deal with it
wage.
with my position every day.
Right.
And we have a lot of local contractors that could do all of this.
It depends
And
on the
our
bid, Tom.
license bond- I know, you're talking about a buck.
Yeah.
It's $360,000.
It depends on the size of the bid, and you're under certain restrictions once you go over a certain limit that it has to go out. And then you have different rules that apply. Look, it's a stacked deck. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's hard to get through it unless the people that are here, and this is, I probably, if you looked at my email right now, you would see that we're getting something from our QPA, which tells us what the procedure is. And one of our goals is to go to, say, the chamber and make sure that our business people understand what the procedure is. But she spends a lot of time calling people, trying to get them to bid, and they don't want to get involved for a couple of different reasons. Not the least of which is to work on the municipal building requires a state license that's $300, whether only to bid. To bid. It doesn't, that doesn't mean you get the contract. And for a lot of people, that's a lot of money to bid, to spend for maybe one contract here, just this one. Now that can give you bids in other towns, but a lot of our contractors want to stay local. Yes, we're aware of what you're raising, and it's a good point, Tom, and we're looking at it hard. And we're going to try and see if there's a way around it that we can give, especially if we move towards a new police building. That has to be settled before we do something like that. That would be a huge issue, that our people in this township have to be encouraged to step up and to bid for these projects.
Okay. And one other question,
Go ahead.
and I'm out of here. As a member of the MUA, we looked at this map as well.
Right.
And Bill's here, but there's a lot of areas which they're taking away, not only from local, from MUA. You've got that church cemetery over there, the old brick, they got a lot of ground there, and other areas, they're just taking this, are they going to these people who own these properties to say, look, this is our game plan, or are they just doing, thank God, Bill, along with Matt, worked out all the problems concerning our MUA area.
Right.
But there's a lot more, Mayor, that we have to think about.
I think there's a long road with this thing before it's final.
Just point of information, you're gonna have to deal with it, and these are all our people.
Right, I know.
And they're gonna be trying to steal as much as they can.
Well,
Tom, you're right. What happened in the process, and I probably was here with at least 5 maps, and we did a plan and we put in all the areas we thought were appropriate. I worked with Matt, and then what they did was they came up with what they call a 25-acre clip. Any area that has environmentally sensitive lands within this 25 acres area, they removed it all at once. Then we had to do a new map again. And then we fought back on that, and we did get areas like Irma Park, which we thought had to be in there. It was ridiculous not to put it in there just for the future. But that's what happens if there's any environmentally sensitive lands, they remove it. They removed areas of the airport that had sewer lines already there.
Academy Road and all that area.
They removed that too. Right.
That's important.
After meeting with us and telling us they put it in because that was below the 25 acres.
We've
Just had a small area.
We've
That's all
done,
that's
I
all
understand.
bringing to your attention.
We brought it to their attention. I mean, they're the ones that are running the show, not us.
Yeah, I have a room full of maps back there.
Yeah.
It just shows how we went through it, and we didn't give up at the end because we really felt that the people at the table had the authority to approve or disapprove the map. They said they did, but obviously they didn't.
Yeah, just like we had the same thing since you started 2.5 years ago with water allocation. We're still waiting for resolve.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I know. Thank you. Is there anybody else who wishes to address council? Go ahead, who's coming? One at a time, gentlemen.
Oh, we could gang up on you, go ahead.
Well, that would be a first.
Is this public comment?
Frank Scott with the Bills.
Go ahead, Frank.
Resolution 2013-606. Could you please explain that and what it entails?
What are we looking at? Oh, we have to do that every year. That's what we would call boilerplate. And I remember going through this before, and what it basically does, we have it every year, and Mike, I'm gonna have to ask you if you've got it, the cap bank.
Well, this is the
Hold on, let me.
threshold, the budget, the ordinance, municipal budget appropriation limits. It puts a cap on what the amount of money that can be spent before it has to go out to bid. And I've asked the council for permission to reduce it from $4,350, which they could spend with just getting one bid. I've asked them to reduce it to $2,000, and I prefer 2 or at least 3 quotes before I authorize a purchase. So we're trying to watch every dollar.
He's got the wrong one. You got the wrong one, Mike.
I do?
Yeah.
Which, did you say 06?
06.
To exceed the municipal budget.
It is. It doesn't mean we're gonna go that high or something. It just basically is boilerplate that we do every year.
Well, I was under the impression that if you were going to raise the cap, the size of the cap, it had to go through an election. Is that true, or is that?
No, I think that there's a certain amount that you can raise it without going that way. And I think there's a difference between, say, putting it in there as a permission to do and then doing it. I mean, that's not an issue with us. We're not going to be there.
But the cap is at 2%. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, from what the explanation of the ordinance is 3.5%.
I'm trying to find it. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can find it in here, Mike.
I apologize, I was looking at the wrong ordinance there.
Okay, Mike.
But we are at the 2% cap. We're within the 2% cap. We have a legal budget that's going to be proposed in the very near future, according to our CFO. And this is an ordinance that every year is passed. So,
okay, but
there are certain areas that can exceed, and that's healthcare, pension.
I understand that, but what I read into it was an increase to 3.5%.
No, that's not. It's just a permission to do so. It's like asking in advance that if something happens, we have that availability. But that's not the issue. It's not going to happen. All right. That's the way it was explained to me.
And I can tell you with the budget that's going to be proposed, that's being worked on, is at the 2% cap. It's within the 2% cap that's legally authorized.
Which I think is your concern.
Well,
you want to make sure it's not at 3.5, it's your concern.
Yeah. No,
yes.
That's not it. It's just boilerplate. We have it every year, and to be honest with you, they explain it every year, and it goes by.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Ed?
Go ahead, Doug.
Ed Butler from the Villas. Our ladies down here, because I have a few different questions. And on this resolution, we're looking at 2013-55, where you're increasing.
Right, that's the one he was talking about.
That's the one I was just talking about, Mr. Butler, and I apologize to the council for reporting on the wrong one. I've asked, this establishing the bid threshold is a common thing in municipality. I've asked them to make it a little more stringent, and as it says here, the shall not exceed $4,350 with the amount to be established directed by the township manager. My directive, with the council's approval, is, as I said prior, that any department can't spend $2,000 or more without at least 2 quotes. I would prefer 3 quotes to make sure that we're getting the best possible price for the taxpayers, instead of at $4,350.
Well, yeah, because when you're looking at the figure you have here, to go that high, you're looking for the pay-to-play situation coming, where anybody can walk in, any councilman or anybody, and say, okay, I want you to award this to so-and-so because it's under it. So really, an open bid for everything would be more fair in this township than anywhere else.
We do. We have a qualified purchasing agent that does an outstanding job scrutinizing all this stuff before it comes to my office for approval. Now, Julie, you could touch on the 36,000 piece, would you please?
Because we have a QPA.
I'm not questioning anybody's qualifications. All I'm saying is that really, it's a little too high and should be kept down like you
The
suggested.
state sets it. The state of New Jersey
Once, because we have a QPA, the state of New Jersey sets the bid threshold of 36,000. Anything over 17,000, we do a pay-to-play bid. You have to provide the proper paperwork for it. And anything between $2,000 and $17,000 requires, as of today, 3 quotes.
Okay.
So you can't just purchase it because you want to.
And what we're looking at there is possibly would be changed or still stay the same the way it is right here.
This does not raise it. This is the way it was set last year. All we're doing is reestablishing it and saying that the manager can direct anything over $2,000 must be provided with 3 quotes.
Okay, so it's under control, in other words? with-
Yes, it's,
Okay.
we're not lightening up.
Nothing's being changed.
Right.
We're just reestablishing it.
Okay, now the other thing I want to bring up is that on these back page where you have actually the 4 different ordinances, and you talked about one earlier, about the scrapping.
Right.
That's a new ordinance. Now, each one of these on here really should be the first reading. It looks like you're ready to actually vote on these tonight right away.
No,
It hasn't
because
been explained, it hasn't been put on
when we
there.
address the consent agenda, it'll say that this is the first reading for ordinances 2013-03 through 2013-06. The second reading and public hearing has been scheduled for February 20th. That's what whenever we introduce a budget or introduce an ordinance, we go ahead and tell you when the second reading is.
You're telling me that's right on this page here?
No, we will announce that.
That's, Mr. Butler, as I respectfully told you today when you asked me.
I'm not picking on anything, but your normal procedure is to have first reading, second reading. And I would like to talk a little bit about that, and maybe in call to the public, I'll do that. But really, it all relates to this as far as the first and second reading, and people that have the opportunity to pick it up and read really what it is, and not just a small outline.
Once these ordinances are passed tonight at first reading, they will be made public, they will be posted on the bulletin board, and every resident has the chance to come into Township Hall and pick up a copy free of charge.
So what
If this is, and there's put in the newspaper as well. And
so what
it'll
you're
read-
telling me tonight,
Anything on the consent agenda is first reading, yes.
Second
reading. Second reading and public
that's the
hearing.
standard procedure?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
It's always been that
I
way.
just want to qualify that,
Oh, yeah.
you know, because it's not on
I'll
here.
start typing that on there.
All right, thank you, Joey. Right, all right, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Right.
Anybody else? Close the public portion.
A membership application for the New Jersey State Firemen's Association for Theater A Bone, Town Bank Volunteer Fire Company. Approval of minutes, January 23rd, 2013. Resolutions 2013-53 through 2013-69. Ordinance 2013-03, an ordinance amending ordinance 2012-21 entitled Salary and Benefit Ordinance for the Township of Lower. This is adding the township engineer position. Ordinance 2013-04, an ordinance amending Chapter 570, the revised general ordinances of the Township of Lower. This sets forth the regulations and fees for scrapping in the township. Ordinance 2013-05, an ordinance amending Chapter 600 of the revised general ordinances of the Township of Lower. This ordinance sets forth the regulations and fees for rotary towing within the township. And ordinance 2013-06, an ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and establish a cap bank. This is an annual ordinance. This is the first reading of ordinances 2013-03 through 2013-06. The second reading and public hearing has been scheduled for the February 20th, 2013 meeting.
You need oxygen after that. Motion to approve in a second.
Motion to approve.
Second. Yes.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Tom,
You're still
motion.
catching your breath.
This.
Councilmember Conrad?
Yes.
Councilmember Neville?
Yes.
Councilmember Douglas?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Clark?
Yes.
Mayor Beck?
Yes. And we had a resolution moved off. Glenn, did you move a resolution
You
off?
abstained from 2013-62.
Okay.
You got it.
Okay, move down to the administrative reports. Is there any council comments or question on the administrative reports? move to council comments.
Real quick, I want to congratulate the 3 police officers that graduated we had tonight. Hope they work out beautifully for the police department. We need a strong police presence. I see it daily. I was happy to see the Boy Scouts here getting their Eagle. This is February. This is the birthday of the Scouts. Every year they celebrate that. And other than that, oh, are we allowed to congratulate George yet?
Yeah, you can.
George, congratulations.
George, would you stand up, take a bow? This is our new township engineer, and there's a lot of good things that are going to occur.
This hopefully will save the township a lot of money. I have a lot of faith in George.
Right. Why don't you tell them about the committee? Tom was a member of the committee.
The mayor and I were on a committee with the manager, Mr. Long, and a few other, Bill Galstock, to try to find an engineer that would fit Lower Township the best. There are 6 final applicants. George came up number 1, and he lives locally.
Came to council in a closed session last time, and everybody got a chance to meet him and talk with him. There's a lot of good reasons to have our own engineer. And we never had that before. Part of it's financial. It should save us a lot of money. George will be doing the boards, the escrow. But we could go through a ton of different other good reasons why he's here. At some point in time, with the flooding issues in Lower Township, it's going to be one of his tasks, along with hopefully Councilman Neville and myself, that we're going to, over the long haul, after he gets his feet literally wet, that we are going to begin to construct, like perhaps, with Bill Galstock and a lot of other people, a flood mitigation blueprint for the township. Having our own guy, and I mean, there's no aspersions. We had good relationship with the former engineering firm. It's just a financial thing with us. I think we can save money. And having him available, Mike has set up a program where on Fridays, he'll have an office hour or 2. So if you're going to do some work on your house and you want to, run some plans by him to see whether or not this is going to float, well, you might be able to drop in and sit down and talk with him and have a coffee and see, well, this is where we're headed here. We have an awful lot. Again, the proposed police station, there's just a lot there, and I think that this will be good for the township, and I think he's the kind of guy that we put him in here and he'll grow with the township. And his wife just had a little boy about 2 weeks ago, so he's really hot to trot, and I think the thing that really cinched me was his passion when we were in the interviews, and this was a process that took a few weeks. And how many times did we bring it back? 3 times? 3 times. So it wasn't something that wasn't done with a lot of thought, and the overall concern was what's best for the township. So welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, that's it for me.
Okay, you got it, Jimmy?
Well, I too want to congratulate the cops. It's good to see we're getting local people to know the town and give us some good enforcement, and give George some encouragement, because when you deal with the DEP and FEMA, a lot of times we're going to need somebody with some expertise, because it's like they don't listen. They already got their mind made up, and it seems like they're able to shove it just, here it is, this is the way it is. And sitting on the other side of the table with them, and Billy up at the county, it's like, I don't want to say it's eye-opening, it's like, you're kidding me. But that's the way it works, and I know we're going to be relying on you a lot, so welcome aboard.
Thanks. George, welcome aboard, and yes, I do think it's going to be a positive for our township, and looking forward to working together and what we can do. Also, Brian, I think you hit it on the spot as far as cream of the crop. These guys are all local kids that grew up in our communities. They're coming to be part of our police department, and these 3 guys, you got a good team coming on, and also we wish well for our new police officer in the academy. So keep up the good work, and that's for all the officers. They're doing a great job.
And we'll add our congratulations to the new additions of our team, and also say that today the Lieutenant Governor came down to visit one of our antique stores here in Lower Township. And I think for a brief moment in time she was actually the governor, because as it stood, the governor was coming back from the Super Bowl and was out of the state, and that makes her the governor when he's away. So Lieutenant Governor Kim Guadagno came down and was visiting one of our antique shops, and the reason this was happening was because businesses are telling us that their business now is worse than it was this same time last year. And one of the reasons they believe it's the case, in fact, the owners of this antique shop had just gone down to Florida, stopped in Delaware on the way up, and everywhere they're going, they're saying, my goodness, you're from Cape May County, you must have been washed off the face of the earth, and you know, have you gotten back? They're asking questions like, have you gotten back into your home? People really have a misunderstanding of exactly how Sandy hit the coast. And there's a real concern out there that folks are going to think that we're not open for business coming into this next season. And the Lieutenant Governor came down to help shine the spotlight on this with the local media, and turned to the mayor and asked us how many businesses we had in Lower Township. And we weren't exactly sure, so we came back and did a little research, and it turns out there are over 400 small businesses in this township. We don't know exactly the number, but it's over 400. And that's a very important number. We rely heavily, these businesses rely so much on our tourist economy, and we need to nurture that. And we appreciate the Lieutenant Governor coming down to help to shine the spotlight on Lower Township today.
We got a picture with her too.
Yeah, we did.
She has. It's an important issue, and Norris has said all that needs to be said there. Our next meeting, incidentally, is because of the holiday, it's on the Wednesday, the 20th. Okay, so, again, I particularly want to thank Walt, because he came in here, he was the first one that we put in front of the microphone. We're trying to do things a little bit differently, and to put parts of government out here that you can look at and see how it operates. And Tom's comments about, you know, local contractors, we've been kicking that around the whole day today, trying to figure out what to do about that and how to get more of that into our people's hands. And we won't stop until we get all the people that we can find and convince them that they need to do the bidding on this as far as it goes. But I mean, there's a lot of red tape there, and we're going to have to look at it. Okay, we'll open it up to a call to the public. If you have any comments, questions, come on forward. Come on down. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, Mayor, Beck, Council. My name is Marian Rementer. I'm from Alexander Avenue in the Villas. A few of you know me.
I do.
I stood up here before you a year ago.
Yes.
About the drug dealers in our community.
Right.
And it's my passion and my mission to get them out of our community.
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like you to touch a little bit on what we've spoken about at a meeting about a task force.
Well, it's a community response, more or less, along on, and it's a little premature. And I'll tell you, here's what I'll say, that when we were, there's a lot of different ways to get information, and when you're dealing with drugs, in some ways, and substance abuse, let's use that term, anecdotal may be the best. And going through the neighborhood, I saw we had a problem. And our team, we recrafted what was our public safety platform to include an extensive comment on this issue. And we've been to the manager, myself, and Tom's going to be on this with me. We've had a few meetings, and it's really low-key because we just want to see what we have and to wrap our arms around it. I can say this, tip of the hat, major league tip of the hat to the police department for a pinch they made over on East St. John's. That's one house. There's at least 3 others that we've managed in the last couple weeks to shut down. Now, sometimes there's, they put Al Capone in jail for income tax evasion. Well, maybe if you're in arrears with, say, your plumbing, and we get the sewer line turned off because you're delinquent, go somewhere else, is what we're saying. They may bounce and land somewhere else, and we're gonna have to track them there. But like I said, there's at least 3 others in addition to the one on St. John that either have for sale signs on them. If you're gonna have a house that's gonna be a problem, you better darn well make sure it's clean, because I'm gonna get code over there.
And your idea about code enforcement?
And we're going to a more,
Money.
and I just don't, it's premature. We've had a couple meetings, it's inside the township, and we recognize that it's a problem in Lower Township, as it is a problem throughout the county, as it is a problem throughout the state. And anybody who doesn't think that should look at the article inside the Atlantic City Press at the end of December, followed by the editorial a couple of days later about heroin use. And we have done everything we can. There's a number of components that are involved here. We are going to be active. This council has a message for anybody that would sell illegal substances, narcotics, drugs, heroin in this town. We are going to get you one way or the other. We are coming for you. I promise you, if I can find out where you're at, we're going to come get you.
Like I said before, Mayor Beck, I'm not concerned about the state. I'm
Right.
concerned about our community.
I am.
And then let everyone else come to us and say what a good job we've done at getting the dealers out of here.
And we are. And there was a specific house, and you know what I'm referring to. They're gone. Okay? And you know that. And you came to us, and I did everything I could, and they're gone.
And I believe in our government. I want to believe in our government. And I congratulate the officers that are working behind the scenes and that can't always get the information out to the public. And I congratulate the new officers.
Right.
I hope that they will, in turn, follow what's been going on and get better at it. But I'd like to involve more the citizens of our township. I think there's a lot of apathy. There's a lot of people that want to sweep it under the rug. We need to get more of the public involved, more of our citizens involved in the neighborhood watch, in what's going on, because I don't think a lot of people know, or they don't want to know.
Mrs. Remeter, I can assure you that we recognize that it's a Lower Township problem. But I can assure you, like for instance, going through the numbers, we've had an increase in the number of arrests over the past year, but all the towns have. And we also, perhaps and sometimes that's a measure of the effectiveness, the recognition of our police officers that there is a problem, so they make more arrests in that area. So it might not be the best indicator of the problem you have, but one of the indicators, and I've believe me, I'm going to school on this thing, big time. And one of the indicators would be admissions to rehabilitation. Now, if you go to the 2010, 2011, there's a huge spike on heroin admissions here and every town. Our percentage increase mimics the township's percentage, or the county's percentage. And that knowledge helps you to respond to what you have. Because it's not like we're a mecca for it. It's everywhere. The point and the difference is that thanks to people like you and other people who have stepped forward and told me there's a house here, there's a house there, we recognize that we have our problem. They're our kids. They're our kids. Get these people out of this town any way we can. Any way. Is our goal to lock them up? Yes. Is it to get them out of here? Yes. So pack up, leave, go somewhere else. Because if you stay here, we're going to zero in on you. But the first line of defense is the parents. We all know that. And without their support, I really would like, I appreciate your passion. I have you scheduled to come down here to Town Hall and with a couple other people to talk to some of our officials. And down the line in a couple months, when we have our arms around what we've got and we have a game plan, you have the enforcement, you have the education, and you have the rehabilitation. Okay? And we have to figure out exactly how it all fits together. In the meantime, we're flat out on top of going after people. And if people have information about a specific house, let us know. We will do something about it, promise, guarantee, we'll get there. But, you know, I prefer, that's enough said, because it really is an issue that has an awful lot of work to be done on it to try and pull it together. It involves the schools, it involves, you know, you go to, I'll give you just one snippet, the rec department, real quick. You know, okay, they're on board, big time. Just one small thing, they're going to order banners to put in the rec hall that have an anti-drug message. That's a small thing, but it's just one of the small things in the meetings that we've had with our rec department being there. They're on board. We have great rec people over there. They're passionate about our children. They understand this, and there'll be more coming out. Just give me a chance. I would prefer not to do too much more. Tom?
The only thing I have to say is the public's highly important. We need the community. For chief markers, people to do their job, we need the community involved. Problem is, with drugs, people are afraid of retribution. My answer is the same as it's always been. Call me. I'll make the call to the police department. That's part of my job. If you don't want, if somebody is afraid of their neighbor or whatever, call. I'll make the complaint.
Right.
There's no
They
issue
all
with
know
that.
where I live too, so.
Mrs. Ramater, you know, just be careful. You know, we don't, you know, we'll take care of business. You give me what you want to tell me, not here at the microphone, but another time, another place, and we'll help you.
Keep me in the loop, please.
Absolutely will. Did we solve that one? You know, I don't know where they bounced to, but they're not there now.
Yeah.
Okay?
Well, there's many more.
I know that. Give me the names.
I will.
Bring me the names.
I will. Thank you.
Okay? Thank you. Anybody else that wishes to address council? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Janet Pitts from the Villas. I have a special request. Actually, I want to bring a couple copies over to Township Manager.
Jen?
Unusual. I have a sample of a resolution that I'm asking mayor and council not to pass. And the reason I'm coming here with this is because we were targeted once before with the county open space thing. So now, I believe we'll probably be targeted again. Probably because we're the biggest township in Cape May County. What this is a resolution, it's a canned resolution, has all blanks in it, you just fill the blanks in. This is created by the Keep It Green Coalition, which is a coalition of 175 environmental groups in New Jersey. And as you can see, it's all about the Green Acres program. And what it's asking you is to sign this and say that you want a dedicated source of Green Acres funding. In other words, you do not want it to be a ballot issue anymore for the voters in New Jersey to vote on. You want to take that away from them, and you just want to make it a surtax. Tax on their water seems to be what they're pushing for, forever and ever, and no more every 3 or 4 years a ballot issue that the people themselves can vote on. This comes from a Department of Agriculture farming poll that they had, the Fairleigh Dickinson University do a poll and ask people questions. And the question was, do you want a voter-approved bond referendum for land preservation? And the answer was 53% of New Jersey voters want that. Do you want a long-term allocation of a tax instead of a voter referendum? Only 30% of New Jersey voters want that. This is to usurp the voters' right that they've had since 1961 to vote on any ballot initiatives regarding the open space allocation. And quite frankly, I resent it. I think this is going in the back door. This is not asking the people. We've spent New Jersey way more than any other state in the country We have a dedicated source of revenue for open space. Every one of the counties in New Jersey, every 21 of the counties in New Jersey have an open space fund. 267 municipalities also have an open space fund. Every year, we contribute $330 million for open space. Now, granted, that's not states' open space, that is the county and the locals. But I'm asking you, when they come with this resolution, because that is the tact of the Keep It Green Coalition, the environmentals, to take it away from us, the people, to not vote on this anymore, and to take it to you. And as you can see, they're asking for you to forward this, sign it, pass it, forward it to your, the governor, your senator, your 2 assembly people, the New Jersey Keep It Green, and the New Jersey State League of Municipalities. And like I said, I'm asking you not to.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else wish to address council? Mr. Butler?
I had mentioned earlier that I'd be back up and talk to you about these ordinances. Going back to the last meeting, there was 2013-1 and 2013-2 ordinance that were presented for first reading. And they haven't come up for the second reading yet.
We don't have 2 weeks between meetings.
Okay. What I would like to suggest or bring up to the council, that would be a good move. I feel that people that want to really get involved and look at it, what an ordinance is, to have a little more time over that period of time. So what I'm suggesting to council is, instead of going from reading at one meeting and voting on the second meeting, to do that the following month, to give a little more time in between. Even for all you people, the council members, I'm sorry, not you people, council members, to actually review it and have more input, and maybe have a work session in between it. Anybody wants to address issues on it, to give you a better, clearer picture of it, and also understand what it's all about, that it's would be more advantageous to everybody, I believe, for that period of time. Instead of coming into one meeting, 2 weeks later you vote on it. And there might not be that many interested residents that would pick up or come in and get a copy of it. But it's there, and it gives more open and transparent government to really look at it. And I know you've all professed that all the time. It's been said many, many times by the township manager, and I believe we have it a lot better than it was before. So I'm asking the council to review that, think about it, and come up with something as far as a decision on it in the future. And like I said, the other 2013 1 and 2, maybe that'll be discussed at the next meeting.
Well, there's always a public portion on the ordinance, Ed.
Huh?
There's always a public portion on the ordinance.
Oh,
The public has a
sure
right.
sure there is. But a time frame, like I say, or maybe it's something that comes up, it also gives you more time too to look at it, instead of from Friday to Monday and then 2 weeks. Just a suggestion, that's all I'm bringing up there right now.
All right.
But that's something to look at, so we have first and second readings spread out maybe a little more.
Okay.
Thank you for your time.
Anybody else wish to address council? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Rachel Hansen. This is my brother Jason and my dad Blair. We purchased a restaurant in April, the 2 Mile Crab House. We opened half the restaurant this summer. We employed 131 people, and we have full intentions in the fall to begin work on the other half of the restaurant and hopefully employ, at least another 100. We're happy to hear the township's very pro-business, bringing, more employment opportunities to the township. Well, we're in a situation where we're hitting a roadblock at the township level. December 10th, which is over 40 business days ago, we put all of our permits in, our permit applications for work on the other side. The township, from what we learned, is allowed 20 business working days to issue those permits, or, you know, at that point, they consider them, you know, if they don't do anything within the 20 days, from what we've learned now, it's not that you automatically get the permits, it's that really we don't know because we're at day 40. We almost feel like these permits are being held hostage from us. I mean, we need to start work. If we don't get working, we're not going to be able to open. We're not going to be able to employ these people. We're not going to be able to, you know, grow our business, which in turn helps the township. And we don't know where to go. We started out from the construction office. We've worked our way up. You know, we came here. We're going to keep going. We don't know what to do.
Sampson, Mike, you want to take that?
Yes, she's right. Last summer, we'll back up, the Hanson family purchased the 2 mile that had burnt down or had the problems. They did a nice job restoring the 1/2 so they can get open this summer, and the construction official worked with them with a temporary CO, certification of occupation, so they can get open. And then there was some issues that got resolved, and they continued to be open. I met with the Hansons in my office to resolve it back then. And then last week, the Hansons were back in to see me again, and I had Mr. Galestock, who's the Director of Planning, who's Mr. Playford's boss, in my office to resolve this issue. The one issue is that this type of a building, this size of a building, needs to have a Class 1 inspection office. Our construction office is a Class 2 because the fire inspector doesn't have a certain license. So I was disturbed that it took this long to get this resolved, and I asked Mr. Playford and Bill Galestock to see if we can get somebody that has the certificate so we can get them their CO. I understand that that was done, and the inspection by the fire inspector that sat in for the other inspector came out there and everything was adopted. Is that correct, Bill? I don't want to put Bill on the spot, but him and I were both kind of working on this, and I thought that you would be okay, and you would have had the permit now to get your CO.
I did speak with Mr. Playford today, and he said that the alternate review official for the fire did look at the plans, and I believe he said signed off on them. And I'd rather have Mr. Playford speak to actually the permit itself.
Yes. So, and I understand the DCA, Department of Community Affairs, is coming down tomorrow because of the size of the business, and hopefully there won't be no more issues. I'm hoping that tomorrow they'll ride side saddle on this and you'll be able to get your CO, because you've done everything to date that I see. There was a little dispute early on between, I guess, the fire official and the construction official. For some reason, they have their own little thing going on. But I don't want these people to be caught in the middle.
Yeah, we became collateral damage on that the first time around.
Yes, sorry about that. You do a nice job over there.
Thank you, I appreciate that. I guess our question is, because of the fact that it's taken this long and the lack of, you know, communication in acquiring the permits, if it doesn't go smoothly tomorrow, and if it isn't, you know, the state, you know, like, where do we go from here? Because it could easily just be a long continuation.
Mr. Galestock, will you in tomorrow, Bill?
Yes.
Okay. So, and I should be around here somewhere tomorrow. I've got 2 meetings already set up, and, you know, and Julie will be here. Whatever we can do to help you, we will help you. Hopefully, you know, we'll check in the morning. Rachel, the best thing, if we can arrange for somebody to call you, we'll find out first thing in the morning and call you and make sure everything's okay.
Okay.
Does that sound like a deal? Maybe
Yep.
Julie and you, and you're going to be the captain.
Yeah, I'd appreciate just getting the permits so that we can start work, because it's been just
Do they
a
got a
very
number,
rough road.
do they got a number to reach out? Make sure they do.
I can give you my number.
Okay. All righty with that?
Thank you.
That's all. If there's another problem more, we'll get into it and see what we can do to resolve it.
Thank you.
Okay, all right. Is there anybody else who wishes to address council? Close the public portion.
Resolution number 2013-70, a resolution providing for a meeting not open to the public in accordance with the provisions of the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act. This is regarding neighborhood dispute and possible litigation.
A motion?
Motion to go to closed session.
Second.
Councilmember Conrad?
Yes.
Councilmember Neville?
Yes.
Councilmember Douglas?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Clark?
Yes.
Mayor Beck?
Yes.